Hey everyone, it's Jennifer from stampwithjennifer.blogspot.com, and I wanted to make a quick video to show you how to make a Z fold card. So this is the card I'm making, and that's how it looks closed. And then when you open it, it looks like that. And let me show you from the top. So these cards, the Z fold, are surprisingly easy to make. So let me get started and show you. The first thing is, just like a normal card, you take 8.5 by 11 cardstock and cut it in half. But we usually cut it this way. So instead we'll just cut our cardstock in half this way. So it's 8.5 inches long. So we'll cut it at 4 1/4. Okay, so the ruler's right here. A tip on cutting, I always like to cut where I press the blade towards my paper instead of pulling it away from it. The reason for that is when you cut this direction away from your paper, it can push your paper out of the way and cut crooked. That's just a little side tip. Okay, so that's the size there. And then this piece, sorry, I need to cut one more. This piece here is 1 1/4 inches wide. So I have a skinnier scrap here that I've been cutting from. So I'm going to put that up to 1 1/4. And then, like I said, I always start from the side that goes towards my paper. Okay, so now I have the two pieces I need for this card. And I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored scoring tool. Okay, so this is the Simply Scored scoring tool. It goes all the way down that long. Your little stylus is held there in the tool, and there's a pocket back here that holds these little markers where you can mark where you need to score. And I'm just going to use it without the markers. Okay, so the paper gets scored. Basically think of it like a normal card, which is 5.5 inches long. So it gets scored at 5.5, which is in half. And then basically the first portion you want to also cut in half or score in half. So that's also 5.5. If you divide that by 2, that's 2 3/4. So you score it at 2 3/4 and 5.5. But if you forget, it's half and half. And then, so let me do that real quick. 2 3/4. I like to use the wider ball there, and 5.5. And then what's beautiful about this is you make the same exact score marks on this piece here. Oops, 2 3/4 and 5.5. So exact same score marks, super easy. Of course, you may stamp on this piece and decorate it and all that stuff. I'm going to show you the assembly real quick. So that gets folded in half, and this one comes backwards. There's your Z fold. And then this one gets flipped around, so now the score marks are on this side instead of this side, and it's going to get folded just like it looks on the card so that it goes backwards. And if you forget that, you just play with it. That's what I always have to do. And so it's a perfect fit because these are the same lengths and we scored at the same sections. So now it is perfect. See how extremely easy that is? Now on these type of cards, the biggest thing is paying attention to attaching and gluing everything down. So you want to, obviously, but I did it wrong, make sure you only place adhesive on half of this piece here, the long piece, the 5.5 inches, only on half when you stick that down. And then on this piece, of course, just make sure you do not put any adhesive on that 2 3/4 right there in the middle, only on the last one. I went adhesive crazy on this one and put adhesive all the way across the back of my Watermelon Wonder cardstock. So I had to cover it with a piece of cardstock back here, that worked, it's fine. But I was using fast fuse, so it was really sticky, and I just covered it up. And just to give you some measurements here, these pieces of cardstock, this is Watermelon Wonder, and these are mint macaron. They're really easy to measure and cut for. So basically, for each panel, they are 1/4 inch smaller, which is in my video for, you know, how to cut paper for card making. A 1/4 inch is a good amount to take off or add for layering. So if you didn't know the measurements, you would just measure your card. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So when you take off a 1/4 inch each way, this is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then these two panels are 2 1/2 by 4. Both of them are 2 1/2 by 4. So pretty easy there. Of course, these could be designer paper, stamped, embossed with an embossing folder. You can get really elaborate with these cards. You can attach all kinds of stuff to these two pieces here, make it a pop-up 3D. Mine is pretty simple, but we are making this card in my card class this month, so everyone can learn how to make these hands-on. So I hope these tips have helped you. If you like the video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again at stampwithjennifer.blogspot.com.